in the building. Somebody that is one of the voices of this generation. Been outspoken, been prolific, a true artist. I mean, repping Chicago in a big way. The one and only Vic Mensa, y'all. He's here.
Peace. Thank y'all for having me.
No doubt, man. So, I mean, you got a lot of new stuff going on, but you always I feel like you're one of those people that artists respect. You know what I mean, and people who are like really about the culture respect, and that they pay attention to. Like, it's never been anything but realness with you, where we see other people in the game that that you I would say are your peers, and they have their careers, but the substance may not be there. But you've been somebody that's always been substantive, and even when it may not be about a project or something like that, you've always been able to just be somebody who's true to the culture, man. How is that? Like, how do you stay so solid in the entertainment business, especially for this generation?
Well, I appreciate that, first of all, man. And I can't stress the amount of inspiration that I've taken from you and what you've put into this game and continue to put into this game.
Appreciate
it. Coming on Wild and Out and fucking you up
all the time. Since day one. Since his first time on it, we didn't even know who he was the first time. They was like, yo, it's this dude, he buzzing. Like he going crazy out there, and the ladies love him. It's just like he was young. He had like the curly afro and all it, and bodied the whole squad, myself included. Said I looked like I was dressed like Jagged Edge. And then season after season, he would come back and he'd do multiple episodes because he's just so dope with like the freestyle and all that. I remember one episode, I think it was season 10, he came and just destroyed Method Man, like destroyed him.
I'll tell you something funny about that, bro. So I had dreads at the time, and I was always get my dreads redone.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Wu-Tang fan. So I'm sitting there, and I had a different hairstylist. She had like a bonnet on my head and a whole bunch going on. And Method Man walk in. I'm like, so this the way I'm going to meet Method Man first time.
With a bonnet on.
He's like, yo, peace, God, nice hairstyle. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I'm going to have to cook Method Man.
Yeah. You cooked him too. He was talking about his shoes and like called him old, all of that stuff.
Consider this. He had the Giuseppe's with the studded top. So I said, consider this a PSA. How the fuck you get them shoes through TSA?
And Method Man couldn't even reply. He just nodded and stepped his old ass to the back.
Fair point. All right. Fair point.
But but to speak to your question, something I've been meditating a lot on recently is intentionality. How do I approach every situation with intention, with purpose? Even coming here to sit down and speak with you, like, how do I move with intention? How do I identify what my principles are, what I'm standing on, what I believe in, and exact that in every interaction that I have with a person, with a media platform, with an issue, with a song, with a producer? How do I be intentional every time?
Yeah.
And I think that leading with that and being clear in what I intend to create, what I intend to do with my impact on the world is a North Star for me. Like, that guides me to be substantive, as you said.
Yeah. Man, and it's interesting because coming from Chicago, I mean, Chicago been hot. I mean, Chicago's always been hot, but I mean, like, specifically, when we see artists, since, the drill movement and beyond where it is even today, but, you always, even in that space, kind of kept it almost more to I would say the true Chicago hip hop vibe that was more of the common Kanye world that what before the drill movement was. But obviously, like, you and Chance probably were the ones that kind of kept that flag waving for Chicago, where it wasn't all about, all of the stuff that we've known Chicago hip hop to be, and even all the stereotypes that Chicago gets in the media and stuff. And it's uplifting music. It's inspirational music in the midst of a city that we know can get a bad rap from time to time, man. So I commend you for always being that and being intentional and having that purpose. Because one, because you're so talented, you could have gone in that route and kind of right, chasing the bag and talking the other type of hip hop, but you kind of stayed true to his values, man. So it was that intentional, and is when you see your city kind of put on a platform and people winning, successful because of a certain style of hip hop, and you're like, yeah, I'm not really going to go that way. I'm gonna just continue to do me.
I think a lot of times the stereotypes of Chicago are used as a scapegoat for the issues that America faces. Chicago is just a mirror for America. I like to say it's every hood USA. And America has an obsession with revisionist history. They like to make a mess, throw a stone, and hide their hand.
Facts.
So when you think about Chicago, they built the projects, put poor people on top of each other to restrict them from resources, to keep them out of white areas, and then put all the problems that come along with poverty in one space. Then tear them down, spread everybody across the city. People from different street organizations and neighborhoods are now butting heads, and they look up and say, well, look at Chicago. This is an example of how criminal they are.
Right.
When in reality, Chicago is a perfect storm created by all of those factors. They created that mess and they blame it on us, But in the midst of that, beautiful music comes out of that. Painful music comes out of that. Violent music comes out of that. Because it's all real to the circumstance. And for me, I never set out to be the antithesis of drill music or something like that. I just set out to tell my own experience, which was adjacent to drill music. And I lost people to the same thing. I lose guys to the drill thing all the time. But that was never my path. That was never the path I chose for myself, was to go down that way. And I think Chicago also has this rich history of soul music that me and my man Peasy were just discussing. Quincy Jones is from Chicago. You know what I mean? Donny Hathaway's from Chicago. Shaka Khan is from Chicago. Curtis Mayfield is from Chicago. So that soul music is deep in the blood of Chicago. This is the birthplace of the blues. This is, that's the first real American art form. But it just so happens that now, because the media is so sensationalized, people most often attribute one thing to Chicago, when in reality, it's many things. The black community everywhere is many things. It's like we experience a lot of trauma, and sometimes that manifests itself as beautiful, soulful music and, political movement and the Black Panther Party and Fred Hampton being in Chicago. Sometimes it manifests itself as gang culture. Sometimes it manifests itself as gun violence, but it's all real.
I told y'all he was deep.
That's crazy. That was good.
Nah, he's a very thoughtful brother. So let's talk Blue Eyes, man. I mean, that in itself. I mean, one, before we even talk Blue Eyes, let's go back to what you guys just did in Africa. You know what I mean? I found that to be beautiful. Chance hit me. I was supposed to be a part of it, and then I don't know how, but I know y'all got to
we was trying to get you, man, but we'll get you next time.
I mean, I didn't know what exactly. I was like, yo, whatever you need, I'm trying to pull up. But I just saw it to be beautiful. I mean, just to see young brothers, putting a movement together in Ghana, and you have roots in Ghana, correct?
Yes, sir.
So tell me all about it.
So my father is from Ghana. So half of my family lives in Ghana. My pops is the first one to ever come to America.
Wow.
His family. And they live in a very different circumstance than me. Growing up, it seemed so worlds apart that I couldn't have even really pictured all of my people being there and us experiencing one thing together. But, more recently, I started spending time in Ghana, started spending some time in South Africa, and realizing that there's this vast divide between us as black people of the globe. And that's manufactured. That's by design. They don't want Vic Mensa and Nick Cannon to recognize that we are facing the same enemies as Burna Boy and WizKid. collectivize the people that stand with us with the people that stand with them
Facts.
economically and artistically. And I started to realize I'm from Ghana and I've never performed on a continent.
Right.
I'm like, man, I've performed on every continent on earth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Save Antarctica.
right.
I'll go chill with them niggas too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Probably get booked for that. I got booked for Alaska before I got booked to be in Africa.
Right.
You know,
Right.
performed in Europe a million times.
Yeah.
In London and Leeds and Liverpool and Berlin and Dusseldorf and Oslo, in Australia, but never in Africa. And it's not because the people don't love every piece of our culture. I guarantee you they're over there watching the Daily Canon like religiously. I mean, there's people there that are tapped into everything we do musically, everything we do in culture, everything we do in entertainment, in fashion, in art. That's the youth. They're on the phones. And so I started to dream of a way that I could create a vessel by which the black artists could go and really connect with the fans on the continent in the flesh. Because I think as a musician, it's a relationship you hold with your fans.
Right.
And it's like, how strong can a relationship be? How effective can a relationship be without any form of like face-to-face communication? It's difficult.
Facts.
And I knew it would take friends. I knew it would take people that connected to the mission, people that understood the intention behind it. And so the first person that really came to my mind was Chance. And so he came to visit me in Ghana, brought him out there. He brought the crew. And I told him about this idea for a festival, and the rest is history. So we did Black Star Line Festival #1 in Accra, Ghana. That was 52,000 people, a free concert for the people. And now we're working on #2 in Jamaica.
Jamaica, right? Yeah. That's what Chance was telling me. So, I mean, I got so many questions. I mean, just even obviously some stuff that I probably already know the answer to, but I want to give some perspective and background for the audience. But even specifically about Ghana, I have a real question. I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but like, is that the one place that black people from America can go and like don't need a visa, or they can actually operate? Because I mean, something about the way.
Welcomed us back. Or
Yeah, like I heard that, but I don't know how true it is. I know there's like a few, countries in Africa to where we could kind of move freely, and obviously with Ghana being what Ghana is. Do you know if any of that is true?
No, that's real. So in 2019 they did the Year of Return.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that was a just mass welcoming of black people back to Africa, with Ghana being that gateway. And black people can go and get passports. You can get a citizenship. There's a pathway for that.
Yeah.
In Ghana, and it's really has historical precedent too. It's not just a new thing. Like Dr. King and Coretta Scott King.
I was about to say, like,
were at the commencement, like Independence
They've been doing
Day.
this for a long time. I had a conversation with Stevie Wonder, who at one point, he's gonna go live in Ghana, and have been saying that for years. And he said he got introduced to it in the 70s. So it's been, and again, I've been to a bunch of places on the continent, but I've never been to Ghana. And actually, funny enough, I'm supposed to go in December for the first time. But because it is the gateway, and a lot of that when it comes to the slave trade, there was it holds a special, specifically for African Americans, it holds a special place because it's like there's so much rooted history that we don't even know. And even the conversations about who we were before we were enslaved. And I think there's something empowering to see, that happen in 2019, as you put it, to us, like, welcome home. You know what I mean? And there's so much about that specific culture that we probably could learn. And even when you think about the continent in itself, I mean, Africa is so vast. Like, you could put every country, I think maybe except for Russia, but like every, like
U.S., China, India, all of Europe.
You could put them all
fit
inside of Africa.
But on the map, they make it
the
so
same
small.
size as
They've distorted
America.
it on the map. That's just one of the many psychological tricks, though. It's like that's what I say about the things that they intentionally do to divide us,
Yeah.
you know, to devalue us, to make us feel like Africa's not as massive, as significant as it is,
Yeah.
so that they can continue to take all the resources. But the crazy thing is, if you look at the people that run the privatized prisons in America, where brothers and sisters are working for 10 cents a day making Starbucks.
Modern day enslavement.
You know, Starbucks caps.
Yeah,
there's a
facts.
group called Geo Group that's one of the main companies. They also enslave basically and imprison people in South Africa.
Yeah.
You know, the
Privatized
oil
prison.
and gas
Yep.
companies that make a killing over here get the gas out of Nigeria. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, the iPhone is
Coltan.
made with the coltan. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Facts. And then the fact that people don't know that Africa is the most mineral rich land in the world from all minerals. I mean, we hear everything about diamonds and things, but it's everything from coltan, like you said, is in every cell phone, to oil, to everything that makes the earth function. It's funny because we talk about like how fictitious Black Panther is with Wakanda, but when you think about what coltan is, and really that in itself is kind of keeping technology moving, it's based off of a lot of true stuff. So the fact that you are kind of pushing everything towards the great migration home is purposeful. And like you say, but I think the question I wanted to ask, and maybe even give some context, 'cause I feel like people know, but they don't really know your relationship with Chance and Save Money, and how being from Chicago, you guys being on that. But how did that come about? How did y'all meet? And where is it at today?
We met in freshman year of high school.
Wow.
So a lot of my closest friends from even younger than that went to middle school and grammar school with Chano and vice versa. But
Yeah.
when we was 14, we met at an open mic. We went to different high schools, but like close by. And I went over there to rap at his school at an open mic, and that was the first time we met. And we just locked in. Like a lot of our first studio sessions was together, but this is before music was real. It was just an aspiration. So really the brotherhood was just kind of formed outside, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what Save Money was, and Save Money is just the collective of myself, Chance, and all of our closest friends. So that's formed from age 14.
Right.
And, through time and coming into the music industry and all the craziness, that relationship has had its ups and its downs, but honestly is at the best place that it's ever been now.
Yeah.
I think that when he came to Ghana and experienced that, and I was able to usher him into that, it just brought us into a new dawn of our relationship in a way, because any Black person returning to Africa, in earnest for the first time, is gonna get a new perspective on themselves and what's valuable and what's important. You know what I mean? You see yourself in a more global context, in a larger framework than just the day-to-day of being in America. And, building the festival and the things we got going on now, I would say that our relationship is stronger than it's ever been. And that's even from growing up together, sleeping in cars together, you know what I mean? Like, we really been through a lot.
Yeah, grown man status, and like really dealing with each other at a different perspective.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yo, so I'm interested because I remember when we first met, you had the Save Money tattoo, and I think I might have had like one tat back then. And I was like, man, he got this big ass tat on him, and like obviously now we sit here, it's both blasted. I think the culture has just shifted in a way, but I mean to make that statement of like y'all click, early on and was repping, Save Money, and pardon me if I'm mistaken, but I feel like, it was a time where it was like cash money and get money, and y'all was like, no, we gonna save money. Like, and it was like, it was a big statement coming from some young kings from Chicago, that in its own. And we watched Chance's career go in a direction, we watched your career go in a direction, but still knowing both of you always been like just real considerate, loving, compassionate brothers. And like you said, the industry can put a lot of weight on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you've been able to rub shoulders with the best, from the Jay-Z's to the Pharrells to pop artists, like what what do you think this industry has done or created with Vic Mensa? And I'm saying even more like Vic Mensa, the brand that you've created, like from the choices that you've made. Where are you today? And from when we first saw you with Save Money to the artist that you are sitting in front of us.
I think to this day I've evolved to a much more disciplined and like true form of myself.
Yeah.
I feel like the industry is only going to shine a magnifying glass on whatever is going on internally before you enter the industry.
Yeah.
So your genius and your creativity, that's on display.
Yeah.
But your insecurities, your flaws, those are also magnified. It's all on display.
Yeah.
And in the music I've been making right now, my album is coming out September 15th, actually. It's called Victor. It's really a story of redemption. And it's me reflecting on how I had to go through everything that I've experienced in the industry to really master and understand the principles of gratitude, you know, and like honesty, and to really be rooted and grounded. You know what I'm saying? It could be difficult in the industry to maintain perspective on what's important.
Right.
You know, because you see so many things that are fleeting, like fame and money and cars and women and jewelry. These are the things that are put on the pedestal. These are the things that are put on the plateau.
Yeah.
But like the principles underlying real success, like by a personal definition, you know, discipline and like discernment, to not be judgmental, to be accepting, you know what I'm saying? Those things can get lost in the mix. And for me, going through so much in the industry though, and surviving, it's given me an immense amount of gratitude, because I recognize a lot of young artists, rap artists in particular, they don't get that opportunity.
Facts.
You don't get the opportunity to make mistakes, to stumble, fall, get up. I mean, you might just get popped one time. You made a mistake, put something on your story that you shouldn't have.
Yeah,
you know, posted an address.
Yeah.
Not to mention, what I've really learned is like how powerful the vibrations of our words and our thoughts are. We as human beings, just by what we think, let alone what we say, can completely shape and manifest a reality. And it's not just theory, like that's quantum physics. We as human beings, when we think something with enough vibratory force or speak it into the earth, let alone put it on music, you can make that happen in reality. And so many of us, myself included, spend so much time weaving a reality out of things we didn't actually want. Do we want addiction? But we sing about it all day in our songs.
Facts.
Do we want ops? Do we want beef? You know what I mean? Do we want gunplay? But it's in every bar. You know what I mean? Like
every bar.
It's in every single bar. And I have come to realize that I got to be very selective and intentional about what I say and what I think, what I allow myself to say and what I allow myself to think. And I learned that because I've seen the pitfalls of the industry for real, you know? So I'm grateful for that, because if I didn't, would I have ever recognized that? I don't know.
That's interesting, man. We always say we are all born vibrationally sensitive. You know what I mean? Like just as from birth, you know what I mean? Sounds, you know, like we're only born with two fears. You know what I mean? That's the fear of falling. That's because, you know, it's innate from birth, and the fear of sound. And that's that vibration to where it's like you can startle us with sound or you can soothe us with sound. So it's like to hear you say that and just to know that you understand that, because to me, I was like, if there's one religion, it should be music, because that's the one thing that brings everyone closer together and can change literally moods. It can change the temperament. It can change just based off of you know, vibrations playing with the correct, you know, whatever, melodies, harmonies, or it can create dissonance. So it's like the fact that you have that power and you know you have that power is amazing. And sometimes we get a little too deep with the conversations, and then Courtney be like, I'm going. So
Please don't get deep.
nah, but but we joke.
But it's good. It's good.
It's good. So can I ask him the tough question?
Ask him a tough question.
You know, is the Illuminati real?
No, jeez.
Okay.
Yo, they got whole YouTube videos.
They say you one of the ones.
spelling out why I'm in the Illuminati.
Yeah, you the one. You one of them ones.
Which signs?
Me too, though. So we in it together. I
But
meet you at the meeting.
But do you think it's real?
She thinks the Illuminati is
The
real.
Illuminati, like a singular
I be trying to
group
tell her.
that's controlling all the decisions.
Yes, she believes that.
that
She
happen in a
believes it. She
major
said,
city.
and it
let me
started
tell
with
you
Scandal.
why. You watch Scandal with Carrie
Why
White?
never
is
seen it, I've
that
never
your
seen it, I've never seen
go-to?
Because if you listen.
It's a fictitious show.
Listen, if you ever seen Scandal, they literally be disappearing people, yo. And what I'm saying is,
She from Detroit. She a real
I'm
one
from
from Detroit.
That's where they disappear them to. They be on the east side of Detroit. You ain't seen.
Look, if you pay attention to Trump, right? So I'll tell you, that's his friend. I don't like him.
Fuck with
But
Trump.
look,
Yeah. Courtney and I are
but look, Trump had this advisor named Michael
Cohen.
You saved her because she was about to say Cohan.
Yeah.
He wrote this book. It's a great book. It's like a mob story, real talk. But he was snitching on Trump, right? He talked about this group of people over the government,
And
Like,
that's
they
the
was-
Does
Illuminati.
he refer
and
to them as
that's
the Illuminati,
the
though?
Illuminati.
The Illuminati is real, gang.
Thank you.
So encourage her.
Me and Vic got to go to the meetings once a month. We all meet up. It'd be me, Vic, Jay-Z,
I
Meryl
know.
Streep.
You ain't even
Meryl
gotta tell me.
Streep.
Meryl Streep, she's the one.
Illuminati all the way.
Oprah.
Meryl Streep, y'all don't even. She the one.
Do y'all
She's
get
Beelzebub
y'all serve
herself.
Pizza? Y'all get y'all pizza parties?
Yeah, it's we can't wear we can't wear
They
shoes.
have pizza parties at the
It's
Nah,
not book
I
it.
think for sure the Illuminati is real, but I don't know if it's as hidden as
That's
people
what I
like
like.
to think it is.
Let me
Spiritual
tell you.
warfare is real.
Okay,
That's
I
the
agree.
thing that is real, and I mean the vibrations, and I believe artists in themselves are the angels of today that are here to protect and actually make sure that we keep the sanity and the peace, because there is so much corruption going on that we are set to. There's a lot of mind control that's going on, but we ain't gonna get into that because we already
That's
got
what we
into
going
it.
deep.
He said it's a lot of mind control.
Yeah.
That's real though.
That's true.
But I gotta ask you though, because we are talking about the industry, man. What's some of the best advice that you received from somebody in the industry?
I would say the best piece of advice that I got from somebody in the industry was from Pharrell. I was in the studio with him working on my 2017 album, The Autobiography. And just before I stepped in the studio, I got a phone call from a guy in Chicago who was robbing me. I was supposed to do a music video, and I had paid the upfront cost. Then we had to change the shoot. And he started telling me, oh, the money's already spent. It's all gone. But he made the mistake of accidentally texting me, if they call you, don't tell them anything. Play stupid.
Oh wow!
What an
So
idiot.
I'm on the phone. I'm basically threatening this dude's life.
Right.
I'm bugging out. I get in the studio with Pharrell, and I was visibly livid.
Yeah, your energy
And
off.
Pharrell just had a conversation with me, and he was like, you know what? You honestly lucky in this situation. I'm like, lucky? How am I lucky? This dude just stole $15,000 from me. And he said, you're lucky for 3 reasons. The first of which being that you don't have to be the person that looks themselves in the mirror knowing that they steal from those that they call brother. Secondly, you're lucky because this is not going to tank you. You ain't going to lose your house. You don't have to reevaluate your life because of $15,000. Some people do.
That's a Fendi fact.
That would be me.
So you're lucky for that. And thirdly, you're lucky because you can choose to let this go and move on.
Wow.
And that was so
Yeah.
life-changing
You just
for
let
me.
it go then?
No, in all honesty, I did let it go. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah, I
like,
did after I did what I had to do. Then I
no,
let
I
it go.
didn't. I didn't because honestly, I had just been through a whole situation like that in Chicago where I didn't let something go, and I went and went way too far and got into some whole street shit, and you know, then that was following me, haunting me, and now I'm carrying a gun all the time, and boom, then I catch a gun case, and
Out
you
here,
know what I
right?
mean?
That was, yeah.
Doing the most, you know what I mean? And so when he gave me that game, that it could be a power of mine to let it go, that was such a perspective shift for me, because I think as black men, oftentimes we're raised to think that if somebody says something to us, it's no longer our decision. Like, I gotta risk my freedom in my life if somebody says certain things to me. And he told me it was my power to let it go.
Yeah.
I've come to learn that, like,
Pride
that is a
and-
power.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Real power may not be going back and kicking a dude's door
Right,
in like I
right.
wanted to. Real power may be exercising restraint and praying on it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, power might be tapping into the power source, giving that to God and saying, you know what? I'm going to let this go because I trust and believe that me handling this with grace, God will return it to me tenfold. Whereas if I stoop down to this guy's level and I go vibrate with him,
That low frequency.
That's the easy way
that low
out to some
frequency,
extent. That's
yeah,
harder
that's
to hold
the easier
yourself
way
out.
out.
Yeah,
I
when
mean,
you look
that's-
at it like that, for sure it
that's
is.
definitely the easier way out.
And I would say who you allow to anger you is your master. So in that sense that you learn that lesson from, first of all, Pharrell is just like a modern day guru.
Guru.
Yeah, that's
Straight
Like,
guru.
I feel like there's only a few people, and I tell him this every time I see him, there's only a few people I'm envious of. And Pharrell is one of those guys. Because it's just like from what he's done in the space of music and fashion and just like the artist and the creative and how he's just always just so calm, just always smiling, I'm not just pleasant all the time. So I could imagine some game like that coming from him because he really walks it. He really lives it. You know, as some dudes you be like, I could feel the bullshit. Like
Right.
he playing a role. Like, nah, Pharrell is really that guy and really just wants to see people win. Really like the essence of a dope producer. Even though he gave me a beat with no motherfucking kick drum in it.
Yeah.
In the Neptune days, still got problems, but he gave me a whole beat. It did not have a kick drum,
No
like
kick.
$100,000 with no fucking kick drum.
Maybe he was trying to give you what you really needed.
That's
or
what it-
maybe you didn't know. He was trying to have you change the whole sound.
You know what it was, and I talked to him about that. I've told this story many a times, and I feel like for myself, my career got fucked up at the beginning because of Nickelodeon, and even when I was in the studio with Pharrell, he was trying to give me some Rugrats type shit, which is I get from his perspective because I was the kid from Nickelodeon to him. And I was like, nah, Pusha T and the Alcoholics and all them was in the next room. I was like, I want the lick shit. Give me the shit you gave the licks.
That's funny.
Yeah, give me the shit you get. I want that shit. He was like, nah, you need to clink, 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 clink. I'm like, fuck out of here, Pharrell.
Clink, clink.
Like, but nah, I love that dude. But that was like first album, and like I connected with that dude, and he put so much wisdom on me, and just to see, you know, it's interesting because you see even that type of guidance, and like even, you know, you rub shoulders with the Jay-Z's and all that stuff. Why do you think the OGs take a liking to you?
I think I've always been genuine and been myself in any room that I enter. And I mean, I studied these guys extensively. I continue to study these guys. I'm a student of the game. And maybe that displays a different type of love for it.
Yeah.
And to take these influences, mix them together and birth something new, and to be somebody that they could tell stands on principle, is not only talented, is not only creative, but principled as a human being. I feel like all those relationships are mainly based on who I am as a person, though, and connecting with them on a personal level. But you know, that's a dream come true, though, because as a shorty, it's like, how much did I learn from Hove and Kanye before I ever met them? You know what I'm saying? Like, how much did I learn about being a man from the blueprint? You know what I mean? Like, show them how to move in a room full of vultures, you know? And just like studying that, you know, learning from Kanye. And taking that and applying it into the real world beyond music. So I feel like all those guys can appreciate that.
Yeah, man. You always stood on business, always been solid. You know what? We never, ever actually had to, at least not on a public forum, had the conversation about Chiraq. Like, what the fuck happened with that? Like, I remember, like, me and Vic was in the same scene together. Obviously, I think the title was problematic, but it was a movie that was directed by Spike Lee. We were all a part of it. Interestingly enough, even before I was the lead role or the character of Chiraq, that character was actually written for Kanye West. And Kanye and Spike had been talking about it, and it was Spike was trying to do something different. And one, how did you get involved, and then where did it go left to where you're like, I ain't fucking with this? And it wasn't my fault.
No, Spike cussed me out, man. He gave me a piece of his mind, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man.
He will do that too.
If I'm gonna be completely honest with you, man, like I was trying to speak to Spike Lee about the realities of
Facts.
the street culture in Chicago.
Yep.
That was being transformed on the screen, you know what I mean, in a cinematic and a theatrical way. And you know, from the gang colors and it being like purple and orange and just felt like kind of like a satirical take,
which I think he was going
which I
for.
know he was going for.
Yeah.
But like some of the particulars of it at the time, I didn't feel like they were the most respectful way to approach the situation. And when I spoke to Spike about it, you know, he kind of he cussed me the fuck out, man. He gave me a piece of his mind, and he was like, man, you and X person and Y person from Chicago, man, I'm gonna show y'all niggas, man. Like, and I was like, okay,
it's interesting.
I still love you, like, you know what I mean. I tell you the truth, like I went way before that. When I was in high school, I had a Spike Lee DVD box set that I bought or somebody bought for me for like Christmas because they know that I'm just a huge Spike Lee fan.
Right.
And I stood in line at the bookstore. I got it signed by Spike Lee. Like, I'm a consummate Spike Lee fan. So, you know, it was unfortunate that it had to go that way, but you know, I still got all the respect.
No doubt. And he's still
Lee.
the OG. And I think even for me as an actor, like I kind of like, I heard everything because I was in the midst of it. Like, literally, I was like, I'm going to just try to be the best actor I can be. You know what I mean? Because I hear the guys that, literally, we was around some real ones. We was in it. And they didn't think. Like, I don't think what it was, Spike was making a satire, you know, that was based off of a Greek play called Lysistrata, but he called it Chiraq.
Right.
So, and even in the community, you know, you saw these people were hurting. You know what I mean? Like, and there's some powerful scenes in the movie, like literally mothers of, you know, young people that were killed from senseless violence, you know, are in the actual film. Like even one of the last scenes where it's like
Samuel L. Jackson joint was heavy too.
Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff. And it was Samuel L. Jackson, Angela Bassett, Dave Chappelle, like Wesley Snipes. We was all in it, but I think the community was like they wanted their boys in the hood. They wanted the trueness. They wanted like, yo, tell what's really going on. We don't know about this 2,000-year-old play called Lysistrata. You know what I mean? Yeah. We want to know, like, it's people dying today. And Spike is an artist. And for I was like, Spike, I'm going to just follow your lead. You got us wearing purple and orange and, you know, and I get it. It's over the top because, you know, Chicago ain't about colors and all that stuff. It's some real stuff going on. And there was a lot of people that were upset with on that level. You know what I mean? It was, you know, we was going all over the world with that movie, and it was called Chiraq.
I think it was just a heavy subject to address, and like one that was and is very sensitive, but especially at that time, which is like the height of the Chiraq concept in the zeitgeist. You know what I mean? I think it's exactly what you said, that people just expected with it being called Chiraq that it would be more of a boys in the hood, more of like a realistic depiction
Yeah.
of the situation. But
And that's what I like. When I was like, I gotta try to do it. You know what I mean? But it was a musical at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, so it was tough. It was tough. But I think, even to this day, when I talked to Spike, he was like, people gonna appreciate that one day. And it's like, all right, Spike, you always ahead of the time, boy. But but I mean, that was one of the first times I got to build with Vic on that level. I mean, we had known each other, through Wild and Out, but just to be in his city and just to move around, it was, it was interesting. I think I'm going back to Chicago in a couple of weeks for, one of the.
Because I saw you not that long ago when and did something at Cook County Jail.
Yeah,
that was so dope, man.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie, that was like just a moment when I was just really proud to know you, and you know what I mean, to call you a brother. I was like, man, this is what we need. And I didn't even know how you identified that you would go to Cook County Jail.
Yeah.
But Cook County Jail, a lot of people don't know, is it's like the largest county jail, I think, county jail system in the nation, or one of them.
Yeah.
And one of the most treacherous.
Yeah.
And
He's
so to
real
see
in
you
there.
in there with the guys in the khaki and just like showing them love, I know that must have given a lot of hope to a lot of those brothers. And I've been doing a lot of stuff in prison release and
reform, likewise.
Justice for our people. And one of my guys is actually doing a theater group based out of the prison right now, where he's producing and putting on plays that are written by incarcerated or formerly incarcerated playwrights.
Oh,
But he's currently incarcerated.
right. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So he's like organizing the whole thing on the phone.
That's great.
That's fire.
And I'm just thinking about how, there's brothers like that, like people like that are in the county jail right now, that I'm sure you sitting down with them and showing them love in that way probably put the bug in somebody's ear that, that they could chase their dream in that
Some
way.
of the most brilliant minds I've met in these facilities of
For sure.
incarceration. I've dedicated my life in a lot of things that we do to, really just freeing that mass incarceration, that modern day slavery. And it starts in places like, Cook County and Chicago. And I try to do as much as I can, and it ain't ever even about the media or the buzz or look what I'm doing. Because, even for a minute, it started to be like that was the it factor. That was the cool thing to do, to act like you was going and doing work in the prisons. Like, I've been doing this work since like 2007. And it's just really just because we come from it. We come from families of incarcerated individuals and, the effect that it can have on our community. So the fact that you're involved in that space, the fact that you're involved in the space of, Ghana and getting everybody back to the motherland, it's beautiful, man. So we got to talk about, Blue Eyes before we get up out of here.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then even the inspiration of that, I hear there's an interesting story behind that as well, right? Like, was it based off of, was it something about complexionism?
Yeah,
or?
my aunt, actually. The song, I started writing it almost 6-7 years ago, actually. I had gone and done ayahuasca for the first time.
See,
And
you one step ahead of me. I'm psilocybin all day long, but the purging of the ayahuasca scares me.
in that same vein, though. And at the time I went to go do ayahuasca, I was in a lot of depression, and I was asking, why do I feel so much pain, looking for answers. And so I went, and the medicine started to kick in, and I felt like I was viewing my mother's blonde hair through my 5-year-old eyes, and I heard a higher voice that told me, I used to want blue eyes. That is the root of my pain. And I thought that was so heavy, because as black children, we're injected with so many ideas of not being valuable or not being beautiful. But I never had the words to finish the song. I knew I had to write a song, but it wasn't until I left Ghana last year, and my aunt, she had a wound on her face, is what they were calling it. It was bandaged up, and I didn't think too much of it. I just started helping to pay for the hospital bills. And then my cousin called me when I got back to America, and he said, it's turned cancerous. And, we have to undergo these different medical procedures. We start paying it. I'm talking to my father, and my father was telling me, of course we're going to handle the entire thing. But man, I asked her 10 years ago to stop bleaching her skin.
Shut
And that broke my heart. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To imagine that my aunt had developed a skin cancer that was based in bleaching her skin, which is a huge issue across Africa, across the Caribbean, and Jamaica, and is so obviously a result of us being brainwashed to believe that
We weren't beautiful.
we're
Lighter
not
is
beautiful
better.
in our natural
Dark-
form, and that dark skin is ugly. And so I wrote this song really to commemorate my aunt in that way. She recently passed away from it. And it's something that happens to a lot of people, because when you bleach the skin, then you remove the melanin, which is protecting you from the sun.
Right.
And it makes you more susceptible to things like skin cancer.
Right.
And it makes the skin more filmy and, can't withstand the sun in the same way that black people, we're born to take in the sun,
Right.
And I just thought that was so heavy, and the only thing I could really do with it was write a song. And so the song is called Blue Eyes, and it's from my upcoming album, Victor, on September 15th.
So we got to hear that getting up out of here, man. And so we definitely gonna play Blue Eyes, but I got to say thank you for pulling up here. And then I got, I always got to do the life lessons. I got Vic Mensa in the building. We got to do the life lessons. So
I got to put one thing in the air too, man.
go for it.
So I got to come back on Wildin' Out, man. You know what
Say
I'm saying?
less.
And there's a guy that I know you gonna love. It's a young guy from Chicago. His name is Tree. And I'm telling you, this dude
He ready?
is so ready. He's so funny. And like 2 years ago, me and Chance, we had a Juneteenth barbecue.
Yeah.
And we held this thing called a bake-a-thon. Baking each other is a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
part of Chicago
Facts.
culture, just heating, roasting, whatever people call it. So Tree is this dude that I rock with. He was paralyzed like some years ago from a shooting. He's in a wheelchair, but he had gunned the shit out of anybody.
Oh,
in
you
this-
got to bring him with you, man.
So we had the Bake-a-thon with Dontario, who's like Chicago's like
Yeah.
most famous guy with the jokes with the
Yeah.
heat and shit. And man, God bless Dontario, that's my man. But Tree took that gold home, man. Tree came through in the wheelchair, and it was like,
Bodied him.
just bodied him. The dude is so
love it.
funny, and I just was thinking for the longest time, I'm like, yo, Tree would be hilarious on Wildin' Out. You know what I mean?
You gotta
In the
bring him
wheelchair.
on.
I'm bringing him.
That
I'm
was saying,
bringing him.
obviously you and Chance are both honorary cast members for life. Like y'all come whenever y'all want, do it however many episodes. I think you and Chance probably have been on the show more than anybody.
I did a lot of episodes. I did like 5 episodes in a span of 3 days.
Yeah. He's been on it.
I
Like,
gained such a respect for the whole cast and crew through that, though, because I realized that like it's really work, man.
Yeah.
Like, and they coming up with stuff on the fly, like freestyle, and it's
Yeah.
like people think that them jokes is written or it's a
Nah.
gag or something. Like, no, they coming up with that shit every beat, and it's like,
and it's 3
got-
episodes a day. I mean, Courtney knows she on the show, and like, it's,
it's work, it's wild. You gotta be funny, though.
yeah. And then you got to have thick skin too.
For
Like,
real though, yeah,
that's-
because they gonna say some niggas that say some shit to me on Wild and Out. I kept
your
thinking
ass
about it.
That's when you know they got you.
Nah. And then speaking of, did I just see you dancing or something? What's going on?
I was choreographed dancing, man. I was getting in that bag.
You
too,
said your
man.
white side was coming out.
Yeah.
It's hard, bro.
That's that black boy joy. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Hey, well, shout out the fact that he could just be a real one from the side, but be in the videos dancing. We love it. We all been there. We've all had choreography training.
Exactly.
We all went to that stage. We're like,
We
I'm
in the
just.
TikTok era.
I'ma
You
just
gotta
dance.
She said we in the TikTok era. We are for real.
So right now we got it up 30 seconds or less. It's like Mad Libs. There's no right or wrong way to answer these questions. Just fill in the blank. And we got life lessons in less than 30 seconds with Vic Mensa. I'm my best when I
On point.
learned to never.
Doubt myself.
I thank my mother for teaching me how to.
Believe in myself.
I always regret not.
Knowing the power of my thoughts.
I want to be remembered for.
Being a truth teller.
My favorite lyric or quote is?
Show them how to move in a room full of vultures. Industry shady. It need to be taken over.
There it is. My worst quality is.
I'm too sexy.
I know that's right.
My best quality is.
I'm too sexy.
I know that's
All right,
right.
this is a real question. It's right here. I'm my sexiest when I
Wake up in the morning.
I know that. Come on, I woke up like this.
when no one is watching. I often.
Jack off.
Vic.
You
You
know what?
the realest nigga that it came
Yup.
and sat there and did this.
Real talk.
Real talk. Nobody else wants to be honest.
Yes, I'm not even gonna like. The last one is the world needs more, but we might end on.
Semen.
Yeah, exactly. More jacking off. The world needs
Orgasm.
more orgasm, more masturbation. This has been Life Lessons with Vic Mensa. We love it, man. We honor you. We salute you, man.
appreciate you,
You know,
bro.
my home is your home. Whenever we got to get to it, and then
Oh yeah, we in LA too, man. So
okay.
right now, Chance and I, man, we're doing the Acid Rap 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
10-year anniversary of my debut project, The Internet Tape. So that's coming to LA 9/21 at the Forum.
There it is. I'm definitely.
So we
trying to
need
pull
you
up.
in the building. We need all y'all in the
Yeah,
building.
we gonna pull up
Yeah,
for
let's
sure.
go.
That's family. And then obviously new project. And if everybody want to
New
follow
album 9/15.
Okay.
Album is called Victor.
you, Victor. And then we got to get you on Amp. You got to do a whole like where you play the album on
I would love
Amp
to.
and all of that. But following, if they want to follow you and get to you, how do they do it?
Just follow me at Vic Mensa.
There it is. Y'all see it. And, you know, this has been one of my favorite conversations. And appreciate you coming through, my brother. And let's get into that. Blue Eyes on the way out. It's the Daily Cannon, y'all.
So love. I appreciate you, bro.
Salute.